Light, Igniting the Worldwide Spiritual Wildfire We Need Now, Global Online Summit. We live in an extraordinary time, both exceptionally promising yet radically uncertain. Yet as we dive into uncharted waters and move closer to a critical tipping point, we see a worldwide awakening beginning to catch fire. If you're listening to this summit, you are definitely part of the amazing shift beginning to transform the world like a spiritual wildfire. In this summit, you'll hear from 21 amazing speakers who each in their own unique ways have been the way showers and the pioneers leading the way to the paradigm shift that is unfolding now. This summit offers inspiration, healing, and practical tools to anyone who is ready to courageously use their own light to help ignite the worldwide spiritual wildfire. Together, we can create a new world based in compassion, wisdom, justice, and joy. My name is Joan DiArgo, and I am your host, creator, and producer of the Spiritual Wildfire Summit, and I want to extend a warm welcome to all of you. And today, I'm so very excited to interview Suresh Ramaswamy. Suresh is a transformational teacher and visionary entrepreneur passionate about igniting and catalyzing the transformation of humanity. With his background as an electrical engineer and technology executive, he brings an inspired yet pragmatic approach to elevating consciousness on our planet. He is the author of the multiple award-winning book called Just Be, Transform Your Life and Live as Infinity. This book has been described as the ultimate manual for life and a must-read for anyone dedicated to personal growth. Held in high regard by people around the world, Suresh's light-filled presence and guidance awakens us to our innermost essence. Suresh, welcome, and thank you so much for accepting my invitation to participate in this summit and for sharing your wisdom. A warm welcome.
Thank you so much. It is a total delight, Joan, to be here with you as part of a conversation which is so important. So I'm thrilled that you are taking the initiative to bring all this wisdom together, which can make a dramatic difference. So
thank you, Suresh. I'm really happy and I'm honored to do it. So, and I'm so glad that you are part of the whole process. And your topic today is called External Change Through Inner Transformation. And why don't we just dive right into the questions? Does that sound good?
That sounds great. Absolutely.
All right, great. So, there's no doubt, Suresh, that as a human species, we are facing a crisis, perhaps even an existential crisis, one that could threaten the very nature of our existence. And I'm wondering if you could share with us how you are viewing the current crisis that we're facing.
Yeah, that's a great question. Because I think every one of us, in our own way, is noticing changes are happening. And unlike perhaps previous times, these changes are really building up on a very large systemic level. So if we open pretty much any newspaper, right, on any given day, we're almost used to the fact that there's going to be something there that is pretty big in terms of whether right now, for example, in California, as we speak, there's wildfires. There's wildfires out of control, burning both in northern and southern California. So there's this kind of intensity that needs attention. And of course, there's a climate crisis. We're increasingly recognizing this collectively. And that's hardly the entire story. You can look at the healthcare space, you can look at energy, you can look at transportation, you can look at politics, you can look at situations all over the world where there's something going on which really is some form of dysfunction which has really compounded and built up to a place where we call it a crisis at this point.
Yeah.
And when there's a crisis, there's a tendency for us to get overwhelmed,
Right.
to go to a place of fear, where we feel there's no control. There's nothing I can do. It's that kind of feeling, very unsettling. And then what do? We pick up another newspaper or we look at another website, and sure enough, that tells us even more bad news. So
Yes.
I want to start there by acknowledging that perhaps many of us are being kind of inundated with these types of information, and we are truly looking for something deeper, truer, that can guide us. And one thing I'd like to suggest as we look at the crisis is to step back, and look at really what's going on. What I see is that anytime there's something like this, it's trying to get our attention. So
Right.
universe, right, is trying to get our attention, and in a way that makes sense to us. So by getting our attention, it's trying to say, are you sure you're going down the right path?
Right.
Are you sure you're growing, evolving in a way that is holistic? And if you are not, then the universe needs to get your attention. So this is definitely getting our attention.
Yes.
And soon after, if you say, okay, got my attention, now what? We've been going down so many paths where we've started to think, here's different countries, different races, different families, different communities. We've started to go down this path where we're getting highly differentiated and highly identified with those differentiations and losing sight of our essential unity.
So true.
What happens is this getting our attention is to point us to the fact that, hey, humanity, you guys are all one. We are one in this together. And so this is like a call for unity, for connection. And there was a movie that this is a science fiction movie that came out some years back.
Okay.
It's the name of the movie is Meteor.
Oh, okay.
And, I think the lead actor was Sean Connery, if I remember correctly. And it's very interesting because what happens in this movie is that they discover that because something happened in the asteroid belt, a meteor is headed straight to Earth.
Okay.
So we are on a collision course with this meteor, and it's several miles wide. So they can see that this impact can be so big that it could essentially cause extinction of the species, of not only us but many species on the planet. So it's a very serious crisis, and this meteor is coming at us fast. Yeah. So this is really urgent. And the first reaction is, of course, every country is trying to do its own thing and trying to cope with it. But then they realize if we collectively tackle this problem, so scientists from various countries coming together, pooling their resources, in this case, for example, they decide we're going to use nuclear weapons to destroy the meteor before it gets too close.
Okay.
But this requires massive coordination and pooling of resources and really recognition that we are in this together. Nobody can say, this is just happening and I'm just going to do whatever little I can.
Right.
Recognize one. And so fortunately, what happens is that with the urgency, people find a way to connect, to unify, and together they are triumphant. They're able to put the right things together and really make the meteor blow up, far off. So
I love that.
yeah, we survive. And the reason I bring that up is because some of those dynamics are very much at play right now. There's a sense of urgency right now. We cannot pretend like nothing's going on. And now we've got to increasingly look at unifying and recognizing that no matter how the apparent differences are, that deeper down, there is tremendous unity and connection. Mm-hmm. And I think so that's the opportunity for us to say, okay, we, humanity, we are one and we get it, and we're going to act that way.
I think that is absolutely beautiful, and that's a great analogy, because even though there isn't a meteor, coming towards us on that collision course, it can still feel like we are. And so what you're saying is that our ability to really see our connections with each other and to see the unity rather than the division among us can actually be a big piece of how we can solve, this crisis that we're facing. And so I guess my question for you, Suresh, is, I believe in my heart that is the case, what you're suggesting. Yet then how does the average person who really wants to begin to feel and be that connection and practice that connection and see our unity, the average person that is listening, how can they begin to take steps, toward that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. And I think so many of us are right there. We are very much coming from a place of goodness, of wanting to do the right thing. And so the first thing is to notice that all this outer stuff has a tendency to make us feel like the solution is out there.
Right.
There's an outer orientation. It's almost like, if I can do the right thing and if I can get the right people to do the right thing, and so then that's it, that'll fix the problem. So this is a orientation which we are actually a little bit too addicted to, I would say.
Right.
Where here's a problem, okay, let me fix this. Okay, here's a problem, let me fix it. And it's all out there. Now, the fundamental shift that's required is to actually see that even though there's outer stuff going on, undeniable, the primary work is inside. Mm-hmm. This primary work is inside. Why? If we think about, what Einstein said many years back, he said, if we try to engage and solve the problem, whatever that problem is, at the same level of consciousness that created the problem, it won't work. The solution lies at the higher level of consciousness. Mm-hmm. So then that begs the question, well, how do I go to that higher level?
Right.
Exactly. And that's, then it's like, okay, for that, you have to go inside.
Okay.
And going inside doesn't have to be very complicated. It's getting back in touch with who we truly are. Mm. We ordinarily think, I'm this person, I live in this city, I have this job, I have some wonderful family here and here. These kinds of outer attributes define our sense of who we are.
Right.
But really, we are that and a whole lot more. Mm-hmm. And we actually, deep down within us, we know that. It's simply that we have gotten caught up in the outer stuff. And so the moment we pause, simply pause and then start looking inside, we start seeing what's there. Mm-hmm. And this is the first step because we have to get to know ourselves, and sometimes for the first time.
Right.
Right? And, we are not what our bios and resumes or our social media descriptions describe us as. We are something truly beyond anything finite. Our essence is not a physical thing. It's not some part of my body or something I own or even a relationship. It's something beyond that. In other words, it transcends all that.
Wow.
So this essence is key, getting to know this essence.
Yes.
And this requires just stopping for a moment and looking inside.
Yeah.
Because there is where the inner transformation happens.
Yes.
Because the transformation, if you will, is the process of looking inside, seeing something truer, and then letting go of something that is less true, which we previously thought was true. So here we get a glimpse of something deeper, and on the other hand, we let go of something which yesterday we thought was, this is me. Now here's the real me.
I love it.
This is transformation.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I love how you talk about taking a pause, because in this fast-paced world, which it seems to be getting faster and faster sometimes,
right.
To actually take a pause can actually be really profound. And as you say, it's the first step. And I know that you later in this interview are going to guide us on a short guided meditation, and maybe that can actually help us take that pause and connect to the true infinite nature that we are, right?
Absolutely.
Well, good. I'm looking forward to that. So, another question for you is, in the beginning, when you first started, you talked a lot about some of the emotions that we face as we are going through this huge transition. Some of them being fear or insecurity or depression or whatever. And I know that, those of us who are empathic and we can feel a lot these days, right? So what approach can we take to help address these emotions that we may be experiencing, and to help us keep our center and remember the truth of who we are?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's a really important question. I'm glad you're bringing that up, because I think that's a very important step, because we have information coming at us, and the mind can get trapped in information and more information and more information, that kind of loop. In the meantime, emotionally, there's a lot of chaos, and we feel very disturbed, and we feel unsettled, and we feel bothered. But the solution we feel is, let me think some more, and let me read some more, and let me, pick up another newspaper. So this type, it doesn't work, right? It just simply makes us more frantic, and it's the emotions stay unaddressed. So the first step is to really start getting in touch with the emotions. So whatever it is we are feeling, we actually say, oh yeah, I'm actually feeling this kind of fear. I'm feeling some anger at who I believe is responsible. But, we tend to get so attached to the story. We feel I'm angry about this thing or this person, and we get lost in that outside entity that we feel is responsible. What we need to do is say, regardless of what's going on, I'm feeling angry. I have to own my stuff.
Okay.
Anger does not belong to that person. They may have done whatever they've done, but if you're feeling angry, it's yours.
Okay.
So if I'm feeling fear, that's my fear.
That's an important distinction, yeah.
Really important distinction. Otherwise, we're always like, I'm angry, but you know what? It's not me, it's that person,
Right.
So first thing is, acknowledge your emotion. It's yours, okay? No matter what's going on. So this is important because it actually shifts the power from out there to in here. Which, at first we don't realize. We feel like, I don't want to admit these emotions, but actually it's a powerful step. It's going to put you back in the place of power.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I'm feeling angry, I can notice it, acknowledge it, and then the next step would be, can I accept it rather than resist it?
Okay.
So each one of these is building upon the previous steps. So you're aware of it, you notice it, you acknowledge it. This is mine, okay?
Yeah.
Then you say, am I resisting this? And oftentimes, if we're not conscious of it, there's likely to be some resistance, and there's potentially even layers of emotions. One, there might be anger on the surface. Maybe there's some fear underneath that anger. So this helps us actually go there and see what's going on within me.
Mm-hmm.
Forget what's going on outside. So this is a significant step. Already we have set the stage for good things to happen when we do this. At this moment, we may feel like, okay, well, it's still, now you are in a place of power. You are very aware. And then now the next step is to release that.
Mm-hmm.
Just release that. To say that this anger, this fear had a message for me. I got it. I'm aware of it. Mm-hmm. Now it has served its purpose. There's nothing wrong with feeling angry. It has served its purpose. I'm ready to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And here, what one can do is, to make it even more powerful, you can get back in touch with some deeper aspect of your being. So we talked earlier about, who we truly are, being not this physical thing, the physical body, but something beyond. And I call that essence. So this essence, when we get in touch with it, even for a moment, we feel good inside instantly, because unlike outside, inside there is good news. The deeper you go, there's more good news.
I love it.
Things we look for and crave for and have a hard time finding outside, true peace, joy, fulfillment, all these things, they're right there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we get back in touch with our essence, we are starting to feel good, and it's so much more easier to let go of whatever is left behind from that emotion that we were acknowledging. So whether it's anger or fear, we can easily look at it and say, okay, I'm ready to let this go, and I know who I am. I am much bigger than this anger. Previously, the anger was like this big thing which takes me over. Now it is contextualized. I am this incredibly amazing, infinite being. And here's this anger, a little speck that's been bothering me. I'll let it go. No worries. Because already you're inside, you're feeling really good. You feel all is well, sort of. That's the feeling. And you let it go. And this comes from a place of love, inspiration, because you feel inspired from this inner connection. And so it's a completely different dynamic. Where we started and where we ended up is just amazingly, it's everything is different suddenly. And we were thinking previously, I have to fix this thing before I feel good. And now we feel like, you know what? I don't know how to explain it, but I'm feeling good already.
Okay, nice.
And so this is the key, to go from being trapped by an emotion to going to a place of neutrality, connection, and inspiration.
Wow. That's beautiful. And so would you say, Suresh, that once we take that pathway from being trapped to really opening up to our true essence, that that is a pathway to really think so creatively outside the box and to actually shift our consciousness, what you were talking about earlier. So moving into our essence is like, right? Is that true?
Exactly. Exactly. So while all this is happening, we have internally transformed, shifted our consciousness, and we are actually we're reconnected to the whole that we've always been part of. And the beauty is that this place, there's infinite number of solutions, there's infinite creativity that we can bring to bear on the outer. So this whole process, by no means am I saying, oh, completely ignore the outer, just sit in your room and do it. No, this is the first you've got to do the inner work, but then now that you're feeling clear inside and you're feeling really good and inspired and creative, now you re-engage with the outer. Very important, very
Love
important.
it.
Because we live in this world. So it's not a matter of running away from it. It's a matter of saying, now I truly feel connected. Now I'm looking at the problem, but everything is different now because you have shifted your consciousness to a different level, higher level. And from that level, ingenious solutions just pop into your mind. And that is so cool because that's really what we need. Individuals tapping into the bigger picture and bringing solutions to play that we then implement.
Love it.
Yes.
Because we are geniuses at heart, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it just comes through us when we allow for it in this way.
Yeah. In a previous conversation we had, I asked you a question that went something like this. It was like, well, how quick is the timeline? How quick is the timeline for shifting from where we are now in this crisis to the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible? And I really loved what you shared. Can you share that again?
Okay. Yeah. So here's the thing, how long does it take to make this inner shift that I just talked about, right? You can go from feeling, annoyed, disturbed, not feeling very good, not feeling clear, very confused, to feeling neutral, to reconnecting with the source, with your own essence, and getting to a place of feeling good. This process can happen very fast. If you're aware and you sit down and you pay attention to it, you can do this in a matter of minutes.
Wow.
The reason I mentioned that is once that happens, which is, as you can see, can happen very fast.
Yes.
Then the outer is going to now start catching up to that.
Mm-hmm.
Once we are this collection of beings who are truly in this higher state of consciousness, working from that place of joy, inspiration, peace, and love, then the outer changes very, very fast.
Mm.
In fact, the rate of change that is possible is very fast. It's our own rate. How quickly we can change our consciousness determines how quickly the outer can change.
Wow.
So if any of us rapidly change our consciousness, the outer can change very, very fast.
It's very exciting.
So I think that the good news is it's just amazing that how quickly, even biological systems, all the ecosystems we're part of, they are surprisingly responsive to our level of consciousness.
I find that so exciting.
It is
Yeah.
absolute. And they don't need to be told, go now change. They pick up on it right away.
Love it.
And all the other beings that we share this lovely planet with, they are very intelligent, and connected. And so we have to kind of a little bit catch up with them.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's the sooner, the faster we are ready to let go of constructs, finite constructs that are not serving us, limiting beliefs, the sooner we can let them go, the rate at which we can let them go determines the rate of change.
Nice.
So I think that's very encouraging. We don't have to get too bogged down with, how are we going to recreate the financial system? Do we have to rebuild the healthcare system from scratch? All these kinds of things can become very heavy.
Right.
And we may feel like, typically when we go there with our minds, it feels difficult, challenging, and by the time you become an expert on anything, you feel this is intractable. Meaning,
exactly.
It cannot be solved so easily. It'll require a revamping of the whole thing, and I don't see it happening.
Right.
This is the expert point of view. Because you know too much about it, and then you're firmly entrenched in what seems to be there, that it's hard to see something fantastically different. Right. It's just the reverse when you reconnect with a higher dimensional reality, where things are more fluid, malleable, flexible. Things are changing very fast, and it's full of amazing stuff available to take us to a even higher level.
Yes.
So we just need to reconnect with that and bring that into this plane of reality.
Thank you, Suresh. That is so valuable to hear right now. It's really important. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So you touched on this a little bit before, but your book, Just Be, refers to the state of pure beingness. So tell us, what is pure beingness, and how does beingness apply to our current situation?
Yeah, indeed. So it's the book is obviously it's focused. The central point is around beingness, and some of us need to be reintroduced to beingness because we've wandered off so far, and that to me is very funny because beingness is such a fundamental part of who we are that really nobody needs to be told about it.
We are called human beings, right?
It's really built into us. So this is my attempt to kind of remind ourselves of what in the world this beingness is. So let me start with where most people's minds are, which is doing, right? Which is saying, somehow, if I can get through my to-do list, I'll feel like I am productive. And if I check off the right items, I will be successful. And people will look up to me, and I'll be doing great. And so it's always our mindset is, what's the right thing for me to do, and how do I get to it, and how do I do it?
Right.
And then on to the next thing. So this is a mad scramble that we've been on, trying to get more and more done. And along the way, it's like we've lost track of who is it that's going through all this,
Right.
Right? And really, what in the world am I trying to do after I'm done with all the to-do lists? Am I going to feel good then?
Yeah.
Why can't I feel good right now? And so beingness is talking about the fact that it's not so much about this externally oriented doingness mentality, that really, as you are more in touch with yourself, that everything is right there. Everything you're truly looking for, a sense of equanimity, a sense of fulfillment, feeling contented, feeling true connectedness, feeling pure love. All these awesome things are byproducts of being.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
But we've confused ourselves that if I check this off, I'll feel true love, or I'll feel something like deep peace. And it's no wonder, we check one off and then we've added 2 items. We check a couple off, we've added 3 items. It just becomes this endless quest.
Right.
Endless quest for getting there, wherever there is. So beingness is about recognizing who we are, resting in that place of who we are already. There's no need to change anything. This is like a fountain of unlimited joy, which is continuously sustaining us from within. We are enough, we don't need to be something else to deserve love and to become self-worthy, or need validation, recognition from external sources. You don't need any of that. This, you want to just drink from this fountain, which will quench the thirst. So I call that state as the state of beingness, or pure beingness.
Yes.
And so this is, of course, the beauty is to actually be there and taste it, right? It's not about just thinking about it. Some people, when they first hear this, they say, "Oh, Suresh, it sounds like you're saying I don't need to do anything. Are you saying I don't do anything, or I do whatever I want?"
Right.
No. So that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying beingness is fundamental and beingness is primary, and that's the first thing you want to fully establish yourself in. Once you're in that state of beingness, then there will be things that need attention. There will be a natural action that arises from beingness.
Okay.
And then you take those actions, and somebody else might say, "Oh, you're doing something," but for you, it's beingness in motion. So you're always being, whether you're sitting on a couch, you're taking a nap, you're taking a walk, or you're solving some complex problem at work. All of that is beingness, can be beingness.
Okay.
So you stay in beingness and you're moving through life from beingness. So things are taken care of. This is not about being passive. This is not about checking out. This is not about running away to some remote mountain or cave. No, this is about living in the middle of the action, but being rooted and anchored in this place.
Suresh, that sounds so delicious. And I know that people listening are like, yes, I want to tap into that fountain that I can draw upon, that is inside me, that I can draw upon whenever. And so I know people are like, okay, then what is the first, what is the first thing that we, I know this sounds funny, do to tap into being?
Indeed.
Maybe that's the wrong question. I don't know.
So I want to just point out. So here's, for some, I feel like the title is enough. There are people out there for whom just seeing the title is enough to wake them up. Just is a very simple and powerful directive. If you let that in, that is sufficient to trigger within you a change in consciousness and say, "Whoa, okay, I get it. That's it. Done. Just somebody needed to just remind me of that." So that's why I'm like, just be.
Yes.
Already you know everything you need to know. So even though I'll talk more about it, you don't need to feel like I need to read 500 pages.
Okay.
I
I
know
love it.
the title is it, okay? It's very critical. I want to talk about, and I'd love to explore this as maybe a few minutes as a guided meditation, if that sounds okay.
That sounds beautiful.
One thing I'd like to do before getting into that is there is something that gives us an unfair advantage. And I'd love to share about that.
Please do.
That way, we can actually, when we go as an experiential guided meditation, we can leverage this. So, what is this thing that gives us an unfair advantage? It is an aspect of our being that is built into us, and it's built into creation itself. And that is light. That is light. And you can think of it as light with a capital L, because we are talking about transcendental light. So we are familiar with the ordinary light, which is also quite amazing, which is primarily, we could say, electromagnetic in nature. We have already understood it in so many ways. We have looked at the particle nature of light. We have physicists have looked at the wave nature of light, and we really have some amazing discoveries, even with ordinary physical light. And it keeps revealing things to us. You know, every so many years, we're like, oh, this is amazing. There's higher dimensions of light. And as you go to subtler and subtler and subtler and higher dimensions, what you notice is the purest, highest frequencies of vibration are what I call the light of infinity, to distinguish it from the more ordinary light. So this is, you could say, the highest vibration which forms the underlying fabric of creation itself. So this light is always there, and our own being, our own higher aspects of our being are in this very light. So it's actually nothing foreign to us, it's nothing new to us, but it's like reacquainting ourselves with a very deep, pure aspect of our own self.
So it's not separate from us.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
It's very much a part of us as we look at our own self going from physical to non-physical. We might say at the first level of non-physicality, we're dealing with subtle energy. And if we go beyond subtle energy, there is the planes of light.
Okay.
And so even as we sit here, we are actually in all these planes. Our physical self is sitting in the physical plane. Our energetic self is in the energetic plane. And our light self is in the light plane. So this is very much part of us, as well as everything around us. Every successive step, as we go to a more fundamental place, we see there is deeper and deeper connection between what we think of as me and not me. We start seeing it's all converging. It's really all me.
Okay, yes.
Really, it's me. So this is all actually, when you put your consciousness in the light plane, it is a simple, ordinary observation that we're all connected and we're all one. What's the big deal? That's just what it is. It's very evident. It becomes very evident as we go there. Whereas when we go to the more physical, finite, manifest plane, things look more and more separate, distinct, and different. So every little thing looks like a Me, not me. Oh, that's no, that's not me.
Right.
It really looks like that. The contrast is a little, it's turned up.
Yes.
So, okay. So with some of those sort of overview of what that light is, this transcendental light, we can easily evoke it
Hmm.
and reconnect and re-engage with it.
Hmm.
And when we do that, we are simply enlivening a part of ourselves,
Beautiful.
a powerful part of ourselves, where all these amazing things, the peace, the joy, the love, they are all right there.
Hmm.
So we can bring the power of that light not only within, but without. We can bring it to any situation that we feel needs some extra love and attention. So once we connect with that, we are uplifted, inspired, transformed instantly. Then we say, "Oh well, I'm in this particular reality, and there's this situation." We can include that in the light, so that it too finds its way back. It too is reconnected with our consciousness, and when we come back to the outside world, things have changed.
Wow.
And an ordinary person might say, "Oh, this was magical. How did that happen?" For light, that is an ordinary thing in the realm of light. For us, it'll seem like amazing, unbelievable, magical.
So, Suresh, are you going to guide us to connect with the light within us right now, even?
So let's do it. Now that we have enough to say, "Oh, that sounds interesting," and if it speaks to you, let's go there. Let's go there. And so probably the best thing to do is, if find a comfortable spot so that you can be, you're not disturbed by anything around you, simply to make it easier to access what's inside. And if you like, you can close your eyes and start by simply taking a few conscious breaths. And just by taking a few conscious breaths, you are anchored and in touch with your body, which is quite significant because that is the most accessible part of ourselves. We start there and anchor ourselves there and ground ourselves in that aspect of us. It is very precious and beautiful, this physical body and this physical reality. So we take a few conscious breaths and now slowly release the breath. Let it follow its natural pattern. Let it have its own rhythm. And simply notice what it's doing. So you are more of somebody who's observing the breath. And within literally a few breaths, you can start seeing there's inner space. You start seeing that there is this body, but I am observing it, so I must be something more than my breath, more than my body, more than my physical presence. And you are actually, without knowing it, you've gotten in touch with the non-physical, higher dimensional aspect of your own being. You've stepped into the world of energy and light. Just like that. And you notice space open up inside. It just feels like there's a lot more inner space. It's no longer constrained by the outer surface of the body. It's like now I'm floating free. I'm occupying the entire room, the entire block, the entire city. Tremendous space inside. In this vastness, we now consciously connect with our essence and light itself. And we evoke light, what I call the light of infinity. So we bring it up in our minds. This light of infinity, as soon as you say light of infinity, it glows brighter in your space. It's like suddenly you're picking up that there's a sun somewhere here in the inner sky. And this light of infinity, notice it. And notice that there's powerful emanations coming out of this inner sun, if you like, continuously. It is bathing us from, as if from up above, it's pouring down on us, and that light is percolating throughout our entire being. And as you sit in it, you can feel sensations, you can feel tingling, you can feel movement of energy. There is the system is being energized, activated, and upgraded. And this happens, you don't have to do anything. You simply sit in this light and let it wash through you, let it bathe you, let it transform you. And you can sit in this state for as long as it feels comfortable, if you try it later on your own. And here what we'll do next is, now that we are immersed in this light and enjoying this light, we're now going to hold our planet, Gaia, a living being, as a planet. And let's hold it close to our hearts, as if you're hugging the planet. And since you are so big, you are really a giant, an infinite being of light, really. You're so big, you can hug the planet, hold it close to your heart. And as you do that, let the light continue to pour down on you and on the planet. And every being on the planet is now feeling that light, because you are consciously engaging with light, you're consciously inviting it and letting it flow through your system. So, and you are part of this planet. So you are, through you, the entire planet wakes up to its own light nature. And every being thanks to you, has now an increased access to this light, and through this light, to the innermost core of who they are, to their essence, to their infinite self, and to the unity that it represents. So let's spend a few seconds sitting in silence, letting all this wash through us. And by simply being conscious of it, we are participating and actively helping in awakening the planet. Beautiful. Beautiful. So this is it's so simple and so powerful that anybody can do this anytime. And even if you just have a few minutes here and there, you can try this, and you can instantly feel the shift.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see how light can dramatically change the rules of the game. It suddenly becomes an exercise. Transformation becomes an exercise in joy, that you want to contribute in that way, not because, oh, this is somebody has to do this. It becomes an exercise in joy, and the joy of your being naturally leads you to the right actions. Even if they may seem very modest, doesn't matter. You are led to the right action, and each one of us will be led to whatever's appropriate. And we need to be open to that, and then ready to move towards whatever that action is. That's the key. So, Joan, how's that?
Oh, it was very beautiful. It evoked a lot in me. I felt very expansive, yet grounded at the same time. And it was just a beautiful blessing, not only just for me and for the planet, but for every being on the planet. And I just felt this sense of really deep peace inside myself at the end there. So thank you so much, Suresh.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's a pleasure and delight to be, sharing this with you. So.
Yes. Well, I have maybe one or two more questions, but before I go there, I want to let people know who are watching this that right underneath the video where you're watching this, there is a link to Suresh's website. And he has put together some really beautiful gifts. You can enter to receive from Suresh a copy of Just Be, Transform Your Life and Live as Infinity. There's also another guided meditation to expand your consciousness beyond the troubles of the outer world. And he's also offering, if you enter into this, a one-on-one life coaching session with you over the phone, which is really, really wonderful. So I want to encourage people to, go to that link and check out his incredible, beautiful website and more about his book and the gifts that you're offering. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So I invite people, those who feel resonance with what I'm saying, to check out my website, to connect in whatever way you feel inspired to. Certainly the book, there's a documentary out there based on my book called Just Be Yourself. Definitely check that out, because it'll also give you more perspectives along the lines of what we talked about, and of course you can check out retreats and other offerings I have on my website.
Yeah, I've watched that documentary several times. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
So, yeah. So as we begin to wind up here, as we begin to bring it to a close, Suresh, is there anything else that you would like to share or say to our viewers today?
Okay. So I think some of the key things we've already talked about. One thing I want to mention is that, as each one of us goes through this process of transformation, we may be inclined to think, wow, this is so good. I sure would like every other person to also be going through this. And that's yes, I agree with that. It's really the more of us who can consciously transform, the better. At the same time, what I'd like to caution everyone is that as you go through the process, resist the temptation to force other people to change. Try to see them as perfect as they are, regardless of their views, opinions, perspectives on whatever is the issue at hand. Let them be who they are. So just focus on your own inner transformation, and you will end up having a bigger impact at the end of the day on everything around you. So because along the way, this will be one of the dynamics. It's like, I'm changing, but I sure like this person,
Right.
my coworker, my partner, my that. In fact, we can start saying, I'm going to hold my breath and wait for this person to change. This basically, we get trapped again. So I want to caution everybody to say, nothing else needs to change first. Just focus on yourself. Go as deep as far as you can, and you will be surprised, because as you shift, your view of other people will also change. Initially, they may seem like, absolutely wrong. Okay. No question about it. They are completely in the dark. But as you go through it, you start seeing them as, maybe they have a point here and there. They're not completely wrong. Maybe they're 90% wrong. That's a good step in the right direction.
Right.
As you go further along, you'll be surprised that you start seeing that person more and more as perfect as they are.
Wow.
Even though they may still disagree, they may have different opinions, but that does not detract, that does not take away from their perfectness. Why? Because who they are is essence. Forget all the coverings, all the layers, take away all the layers, their essence and your essence, all in good shape. These are in very good shape. They are perfect. So you recognize that, and you can be more light and relaxed about the superficial differing perspectives. So that's one of the things that I wanted to mention along the way.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's a really important piece of the whole puzzle, isn't it? Yeah, just to accept people as they are and really focus on the shifts and the changes in ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. And, we talked about some of the practices. In my book, I have many, many, many dozens of practices which you can explore. Some of them are more, you could say, meditation-oriented practices, and some of them are not.
Okay.
Some of them are practices to let go of difficult emotions and so on.
Great.
And so I would encourage you to look at whatever resources you feel resonance with that are out there that can help you keep moving in a way that works for you. So I feel that's important, because what I'm suggesting is certainly meditation, practices like meditation can be Absolutely incredible and powerful. But at the same time, I would say that's not the only thing we're talking about. Everything that's going on in your life is actually an invitation to transform in some way. So the breadth of tools and techniques and approaches is enormous. So I'm not suggesting any one particular approach is the approach. Really, whatever works for you, go for it. So.
Well, I just thank you so much, Suresh. Yes, this has been quite an incredible interview. So much really great information and wisdom. And I really encourage people to go to your website. And I just want to thank you so much.
Absolutely, John. It's truly been a delight because these are topics very dear to my heart, and you know, I feel this is so important, and I'm so excited to connect with people who are waking up to these possibilities.
Yes.
That it's an honor, privilege, and a joy to be with you having this conversation. So thank you for inviting me to this.
You're so welcome. All right. Take care.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.